There is something deeply strange about modern life. People have more technology, more convenience, more entertainment, more comfort than any generation before them. Yet millions feel exhausted all the time. Mentally exhausted, emotionally exhausted, financially exhausted, spiritually exhausted. And maybe the reason is uncomfortable. Maybe the system was never designed for peace. Think about the average day now. Most people wake up and immediately enter stimulation. Notifications, emails, bad news, social media, stress, comparison, advertising, consumption. The brain never fully rests anymore. And when the mind stays overwhelmed long enough, people stop thinking clearly. That matters financially more than most people realize. Because exhausted people make emotional decisions, impulsive decisions, reactive decisions, fear-based decisions. And modern systems profit enormously from emotional behavior, especially emotional spending. That is why the world constantly keeps people psychologically activated. Fear cells, comparison cells, outrage cells, insecurity cells, distraction cells. Attention became the most valuable currency on Earth, and every corporation is competing to capture it. Because once attention is controlled, behavior becomes easier to influence. And influenced behavior creates predictable consumers. That is why modern life often feels like psychological warfare. People are constantly being pushed emotionally. Buy this. Upgrade this. Worry about this. Fear this. Compare yourself to this. Consume this. Watch this. React to this. And eventually, people lose connection with themselves completely. They stop living intentionally and begin living reactively. That shift changes everything. Because reactive people are easier to manipulate financially. They spend more impulsively, save less consistently, think less long-term, and remain trapped in cycles of emotional decision-making. The scary part? Most people do not even notice it happening. Because overstimulation became normal. Silence feels strange now. Stillness feels uncomfortable now. People cannot sit in a waiting room without reaching for a screen, cannot eat without entertainment, cannot relax without distraction, cannot sleep without stimulation. The nervous system never fully powers down, and a constantly overstimulated brain struggles to build long-term wealth. Because wealth building requires clarity, patience, focus, consistency, discipline. But modern life trains the exact opposite. Short attention spans, short emotional cycles, short-term thinking, instant gratification, immediate dopamine. That is why people keep sabotaging their own future for temporary relief. Stress creates spending. Spending creates debt. Debt creates anxiety. Anxiety creates more emotional spending, and the cycle quietly repeats for years, sometimes decades. Meanwhile, people think the problem is only money, but often the deeper problem is emotional exhaustion. Because exhausted people lose the energy to think strategically. They stop planning, stop reflecting, stop questioning, stop slowing down long enough to ask, what kind of life am I actually building? That question terrifies people, because many already know the answer. A life built around survival. Wake up tired. Commute. Work. Pay bills. Escape through distraction. Sleep. Repeat. Again and again and again. Until years disappear. That realization hits people hard later in life. The sudden awareness that time moved faster than expected. That life became routines instead of memories. That stress became normal. That exhaustion became identity. And maybe the most dangerous part of modern culture is this. People are taught to constantly optimize productivity, but rarely taught how to experience peace. Everything became performance. Performance at work, performance online, performance socially, performance financially. Even rest became performative. People cannot simply enjoy life quietly anymore. Everything must be posted, measured, compared, validated, and psychologically, that creates endless internal pressure. Because comparison never ends. There is always somebody richer, somebody younger, somebody more attractive, somebody more successful, somebody appearing happier. Social media transformed human psychology permanently. For most of history, humans compared themselves to small communities. Now people compare themselves to millions instantly. That overwhelms the brain. And overwhelmed people often cope through consumption, which is exactly what modern systems encourage. That is why so many people buy things they do not need, with money they do not have, to impress people they do not even like. Not because they are stupid, because they are emotionally overwhelmed. And overwhelmed humans seek relief. That relief might look like shopping, food delivery, impulse spending, alcohol, scrolling, entertainment, luxury purchases, constant distraction, temporary escape. But temporary escape becomes dangerous when it replaces intentional living. Because eventually, people wake up financially trapped without remembering exactly how they got there. One subscription at a time. One payment at a time. One emotional purchase at a time. One impulsive decision at a time. That is how financial pressure quietly compounds. And pressure changes people. It changes personality, patience, mood, relationships, hope. People under constant stress become reactive, short-tempered, emotionally drained, anxious, and many do not realize their financial life is directly connected to their mental state. Financial chaos creates mental chaos. Mental chaos creates more financial chaos. The two feed each other endlessly. That is why financial freedom is deeper than money. It is psychological. The ability to breathe, the ability to think clearly, the ability to slow down, the ability to make decisions from peace instead of panic. That changes everything. Because calm people make better long-term decisions. They invest more consistently, spend more intentionally, compare themselves less, need less validation, and emotional stability becomes financial stability over time. That is why some people quietly build wealth while others constantly restart. One group learned how to control emotion. The other became controlled by it. And modern culture constantly rewards emotional reactions. Look at the internet. Outrage spreads faster than wisdom. Fear spreads faster than patience. Drama spreads faster than discipline. Because emotional stimulation captures attention instantly. But attention comes with consequences. Where attention goes, energy follows. Time follows. Money follows. Life follows. That is why protecting your attention may become one of the most important financial skills of the future. Because distracted people rarely build intentional lives. And intentional living is becoming rare. Think about how radical simple peace feels now. A quiet morning. No notifications, no comparison, no panic, no rushing, no financial anxiety, just calm. That kind of peace has become almost luxurious in modern life. And maybe that reveals the real problem. People spent years chasing lifestyles while neglecting nervous system health, chasing income while sacrificing peace, chasing appearance while destroying emotional stability. But eventually, everybody reaches a moment where they ask, what is the point of all this if I never feel alive? That question changes people. Because humans do not actually want endless stimulation. Deep down, They want meaning, connection, freedom, calm, security, time, presence. But modern systems rarely profit from emotionally fulfilled people. Fulfilled people consume less impulsively, compare less obsessively, seek less external validation, and emotionally grounded people are harder to manipulate. That is why awareness matters so much. The moment somebody realizes how much of modern life is designed to keep them distracted, their behavior begins changing. Now they pause before emotional spending, pause before reacting, pause before comparing, pause before consuming automatically. That pause becomes power, because reactive people stay trapped. Intentional people slowly escape. And maybe real wealth is not just financial. Maybe real wealth is the ability to remain calm in a world designed to keep you emotionally unstable. That is rare now, which makes it valuable. So ask yourself honestly, are your daily habits creating peace or just creating more stimulation? Because the answer to that question is shaping your future more than you realize. If you enjoyed this episode of the Financial Psychology series, subscribe to Smart Money Compounds, because understanding money matters. But understanding the psychological systems influencing your behavior, that is where real freedom begins.